I just hit that big red circle, so I'm ready to go.
All right, I too have hit that big red circle, so this is for you, Neil.
I love you. We love you, Neil, but we're sad that you're missing April 22nd, 2018's episode 63 of the Fancy Ramen podcast with your illustrious hosts, Scott and
Cookie.
Cookie. That's right. Neil can't make it today, guys, so we are going to go ahead and do a two-man mono podcast. Before we really get into what I think will be our topic of the day, what have you been up to, Cookie?
Well, for those who've been following the podcasts, we got a new car and actually officially bought it on Monday and decided, fuck the car that I was driving all weekend. We got a different one.
Wait, so the car that you were test driving, you went ahead and traded for a different one?
Yep. So instead of just the base model of the premium Outback, we got the premium Outback with the eyesight technology. So for those who don't know, that means the car quite literally practically drives itself. I've got a setting on the cruise control to where I can set to where it'll say, hey, I set my cruise control for 65, someone's going 60 miles per hour, my car will go up to a certain point and then actually match speed with that person I am stuck behind. And I can set how many seconds behind them I am, between 2, 4, 6, and 8 seconds behind them. So
you're getting high-tech tailgating out of this.
Yes, very high-tech tailgating. The blind spot monitoring's on there now, and then it's got this lane assist. So it'll actually use GPS and the actual lines of the road, and it'll say, hey, you're drifting a little bit, and the car will correct for me.
That is amazing. That is nearly self-driving when it comes to highway driving.
And by nearly self-driving, I quite literally got onto the expressway on Dodge to where I'm going west, so you know how it turns right a little bit and then gets onto the thing. Yeah, I said, Jesus, take the wheel, and took my hands off the thing. The car started screaming at me. It's like, keep your hands on the wheel, keep your hands on the wheel. But it actually did that merger for me.
Oh my God, that would give me so much anxiety though, especially with a brand new car.
It'll beep at me when people are in my blind spot if I'm trying to merge over, or if someone's about to run into me, it'll beep at me as well, and it'll do a little speed up thing. Oh yeah, it's kind of amazeballs. The car's a little nervous. The car itself is kind of nervous about drivers around me. It's a very defensive driver, and I love it.
Right. If somebody's going to be neurotic in your driving situation, at least the stress is on the vehicle and not you.
Pretty much. And now I've backed into every parking space I have gone through. I even had the chance to pull through, and I was like, nah, son, I'm backing in.
Okay, so you have a backup camera with this for sure. Do you have any other cameras besides the, automatic camera system for this somewhat autonomous driving function?
So there are 3 cameras pointing straight ahead, and that's going to be for the eyesight and tracking and doing all that other shit in the one backup camera. So unfortunately, I don't have I put the car in reverse, and it gives me the top-down view of what's happening around me. I don't have that, but I'm fine without that.
Okay, yeah. I personally, with my vehicle, have a camera that's on the right-hand mirror, and so I can see into the right-hand lane if I go to merge, and it's got good enough scope that I can actually see a little bit behind me as well, and somewhat in my lane.
What?
And then I also have the backup camera. Yeah, it's such a nice feature. I don't know why other cars don't have it. It's super simple. If you're going to have a backup camera, you already have the display functions to just have that right mirror camera. I think it may be a concern in which that is a part of the car that could probably get messed up pretty bad in an accident. But with how much it helps me be a defensive driver, I feel like it's also a lot safer than a mirror without a camera function on it.
That's crazy. I love it. I want this. Like,
Yeah, and you were talking about that like 360 camera view. I think I've seen on a couple more modern vehicles where you can see like the top-down view of the whole vehicle more or less from the cameras on the like skirt of it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's nice too if you're really trying to get into a tight space, but it does seem like overkill for a lot of scenarios.
oh, it's super nice.
I wonder how kids are gonna drive though when, like the first time a teenager is driving a car, they have all these cameras available, and then you put them in like a '99 Camry and just be like, "All right, go right ahead," and they don't know what to do.
I don't think kids are going to be driving, but I guess I forget who
Oh,
stopped their
man.
autonomous.
That's true.
I know there was a article like a couple of weeks ago that someone stopped doing their self-driving cars because there was a fatality.
Oh, is this I remember actually seeing the news article about if it was the woman who was like on her bike in the road like during the evening.
Yeah,
I
Uber.
remember seeing and reading that article. They were doing the autonomous driving, and the supervisor was like looking down away from the dash right before the crash happened and didn't intervene in time.
Yeah, it was the Uber crash. So yeah, but no, kids aren't going to be doing this.
I guess that's it's a lot for me to come to terms with, that I may be one of the last generations that knows how to drive a vehicle without any actually I can't even say that I know how to drive a vehicle without adding the omission that I'm horribly bad with a manual versus an automatic transmission.
Oh, I can honestly say that I am going to get so lazy so quickly with this fucking because this is my first automatic transmission car.
Oh wow, nice. That is nice. I bet you will really enjoy that. I have a friend who really, really enjoyed manual vehicles, and I think once he got a vehicle that had that, it's the like sportier upshift, downshift, where it's an automatic, but you can have a manual functionality.
The paddles, the useless paddles. I've got the useless paddles.
It's like the paddles, or I think it's actually even on the stick that you can just toggle it up or down to change gears.
Yeah,
But I know
useless.
that he still really enjoyed that. I'm sure there are plenty of people who don't mind letting go, though.
Yeah, I decided to use my little toggle paddles for a little bit and was like, yeah, this is dumb.
So with all the extra time, like all that mental energy you don't have to put into driving as safely, have you been up to anything else this week?
There was a thing that Lizzie took me to yesterday called it wasn't Junk Stop, but it was pretty similar. So basically, it was just this flea market that's in Nebraska right now going on this weekend where people get to sell their own goods. And it's pretty much like Junk Stop, except for it's in a horse stable, a very large horse stable. And we ended up buying a painting on a screen door-ish type of material. And it looks really nice. I'll have to send you a picture, Scott, later.
Yeah, totally. So it's that like wire screen that you would normally put over a sliding glass door.
Yeah, but it's like a super tight wire mesh.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, I didn't know that Junk Stock was exclusively a Nebraska thing, but it looks like it's the first thing that pops up when I Google it.
Oh, is Junk Stop exclusive in Nebraska? I guess I've never heard of Junk Stop till I got here. But
Or
yeah,
maybe
so
it's just that it is currently in Nebraska. I don't know how Junk Stock honestly works now that I think about it.
it's not in Nebraska right now. It's like something else that's pretty much close to Junk Stop right now.
Okay.
I don't even know what it is, but yeah. So if you've ever been to a flea market, now just make it an annual flea market, and then put it outside, and then give it more of a hippie vibe, and then make all the art super not that actually good or clean looking. Make it rustic, and then make it 3 times more expensive than you actually want to pay for it. And that's Junk Stock.
Gotcha.
And this event do all the same things except for some of the booths are actually kind of nicely priced. So the place that we bought our painting from, I actually Lizzie was like, "Is this too much?" I was like, "No, actually, this is actually a really good price for the size."
Nice.
But that's pretty much all we've been up to, non-gaming related. How about yourself, Scotta?
Let's see. The most exciting thing that's gone down for me is I actually had to sacrifice part of my Saturday yesterday for some work, but because it was kind of a flexible shift that I had to fill because of some tasks that needed to get done, I actually got out of my place of work early on Friday and went for a long hike up in the mountains, which was fun. I chose the wrong podcast to listen to, though, because I was essentially listening to a podcast that the theme of it was a like weekly or like Monster of the Week tabletop game in which they were dealing with like a ferocious animal in the middle of the woods that was like stalking and hunting them. And so unfortunately, it kind of put me in maybe not the best mindset for hiking through like densely wooded areas and like small dirt trails. But I got pretty close to the top of one of the peaks on this trail and took some nice photos that I'll throw up on Slack for you and Neil sometime soon. They're part of my Tour Montana what would I call it? They're part of my Tour Montana promotion that I'm trying to get my friends to come up and visit me so I don't have to leave my beautiful paradise now that it's finally starting to get like sunny and warm out. But besides that, I haven't been up to too much because, you know, I had to work yesterday. I didn't make too many big plans, and I might go see a movie tonight, but otherwise I've been keeping it pretty real.
I could
just
take it.
hanging around.
Well, I guess on that note, we can kind of get into video games-ish types things.
Yeah, video games, or maybe even more like outside of the realm of standard video games and more into the realm of very high-tech toys.
Actually,
or you could even call them toy cons, right?
Yes, you can call them toy cons. But before that, I do want to mention, I did finally get Lizzie to start playing Far Cry 5.
Oh, nice. And did you abandon her on a mountaintop?
I did not, but she definitely got into an invisible helicopter and almost cut me in half. There's video footage of it up on the Twitch.
Nice. That is that's not exactly the cooperation you were probably looking for, but
Not at all.
It'll keep you on your toes.
But speaking of keeping me on my toes, I did like your segue.
And so back to it.
And so back to it.
Cookie, I know that our original plans before Neil went and flaked on us, shame, which to our listeners, Neil didn't actually just abandon the podcast, but he's been overwhelmed once again with work. You went ahead and purchased the Nintendo Labo the other day. Did you actually get it on its release day, or did you pre-order?
I pre-ordered it through Amazon, and after work on Friday, I had a bowling thing. Oh, I guess I went bowling this week. But
nice.
I had a bowling thing. I know how to bowl. I forgot I knew how to bowl. It's been years. But yeah.
What'd you get for your score?
The first game was a 97. I know how to bowl. I didn't say I knew how to bowl well. And the second game was a 99.
I mean, that's better than I normally post up when I bowl. I'm particularly bad at that activity.
I was very sad I did not break 100.
So you didn't get to dig into the Nintendo Labo until later that Friday evening or yesterday?
Yeah, so it was about... The bowling thing ended about 5:30. So on my way home, I actually got the text that it was delivered. So as soon as I got home, Lizzie was having cheese and wine with one of her friends, and I was opening a box full of cardboard.
Nice.
and I was like, oh god, this is going to be the coolest thing ever. I ended up pre-ordering just the Nintendo Labo Variety Kit.
Okay.
For those who don't know, it comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different things versus the Nintendo Labo Robot Kit, which is only just a giant backpack and you are a robot. But I will need to be purchasing that at a later date and time because, oh my god, this thing does so much fucking shit. The first thing I put together was one of the RC cars, just because I was like, this is going to be like a nice, it said 10-minute builds, got it done in 5, and was like, yeah.
So the first couple questions I want to ask you before we get into the actual different types of, I guess, toy cons or like build kits are, what were your impressions first off with the actual like cardboard materials and whatnot, and then second off, I think you said RC cars. Do you get more than one RC car with this pack?
So to answer your first question, as a person who went to school for art for 5 years, it's a very high quality cardstock. So think of something a little more sturdy than your cereal box, and a little more durable than that. Think of it like your cereal box 2.0.
So is it corrugated with that like
No.
cardboard in the middle or no?
So it is corrugated, but it's just as thin as cardboard as your it's a corrugated version of your cereal box, because I don't think cereal boxes are corrugated, are they?
I don't think they are, no.
Yeah, so it's 3
and corrugation
layers.
is like a huge improvement to durability when it comes to it. That's one of the reasons that we use the like wonder that is the cardboard box, is because corrugation all of a sudden makes that paper way more durable and like resilient to holding shape.
Yeah, and when you asked if it was corrugated, I actually literally had to pick up one of the template pieces just to look at it. And yeah, so it's 1 layer of corrugation in between 2 pieces of cardstock.
Nice. And I assume like these builds as well, most of them are pretty lightweight because they are such a small, or I should say such a thin like cardboard paper.
Yes, the heaviest one so far, at least that I've had experience with, is the piano, but it's also like the most time-intensive build in the variety kit.
Gotcha.
And to answer your second question, it comes with 2 remote control cars.
Oh, sweet. Okay, so you can do some, maybe you can do some racing, or is that option out? I saw that with the RC car, or at least what looks to be the RC car, you have 2 Joy-Cons in it for like a left and right, so it can vibrate and turn on like a central axis. Does that mean that you need 4 Joy-Cons in order to race 2 cars?
That is correct.
Okay.
But you only need 1 switch.
Gotcha. Oh, that's nice. That's actually pretty cool. All right, then. So let's talk, I think, the actual building then. I know that these come with a build guide that's actually on the Switch. How was your experience with using that? And what could you compare it most closely to?
I can compare it. So, experience with the build guide. I love it. It is kind of like the most amazing thing ever. So I can see why they've got... So before you build anything, you can actually see what you want to build, and they'll have like an estimated range of how long it'll take for you to build it. Okay. So it was like the piano, it was like between 150 minutes to 220 minutes. I'm like, okay, so let's just... So that was like, after the RC car, that was my first build, and it took me about an hour and a half to build, because I'm an adult male. But when you're building it with like your kids, I could see how it can take up a lot more time. But even if it's
they
just
have a range for your smart child and a range for your dumb child, and so you can gauge
pretty
around
much.
that.
And I can see where it would actually... it's like a really easy to use guide that's good for children, actually. It's like oh my god, IKEA can take a note from this, because it takes IKEA instructions and just super simplifies it. So it's a interactive guide where you've got a button where you can either push down the forward button and it'll like slowly show you the actions that you're going to be doing, and or you can like stretch out the forward button by tapping it and holding it to the right, and it'll kind of go through it a little bit faster. I wish there was a like instant next step button for just an adult building this, so that way, because I can be like, okay. And the way these like the kits are set up, like the only real thing I needed the instructions for most of the things were just like, hey, what parts am I popping out of these cardboard sheets right now, and how do they kind of fit together, because they're corrugated in such a way that you can just like see and visualize, and you'll know, oh, this folds this way, this folds this way, this slots into here, and that such and such. Building the motorcycle, that definitely came into a little more complicated like things, because there were like internal mechanisms.
Right.
And I guess we should say the variety kit comes with a fishing rod, a house, a motorbike, a piano, 2 RC cars, and that's it actually.
Yeah, and then accessories and stickers and stuff.
Yeah, so the way everything kind of works when you're building, you've got these reflective sticker sheets. These stickers are what the IR camera on the right Joy-Con actually picks up to say, oh, I am now inside of the house, because like in the base of the house, you'll actually set stickers in very specific sections. And then when you put the Joy-Con in, the Joy-Con will say, oh, these 2 reflective surfaces are here and here. I'm inside the house, versus where they go inside the piano, versus, I guess no, only the piano and the house are the ones that I've got so far that have the stickers set inside of them. But yeah, so it's just like, oh, I'm in the house. This is the piano. This is like the rotation of this area. And then,
that's a really cool detection option versus just indicating on the actual software where it's at, letting it know innately its position.
Yeah.
So does that mean that you can like quick swap it between these things and it'll pick up on what program it's supposed to be running?
I have no idea. I haven't even tried it.
Okay, we might have to test that. That sounds really interesting.
Oh, I will be testing that. And I can honestly say the Labo is it teaches you a lot. So beyond just putting together these kits, it's got these this area called Discover, where
Right.
it'll actually like, it's a little childish how like the script is written out. But so I went through the Discover for the right Joy-Con only, just because, and it was like, it's like an hour-long lesson, more or less. Not even, actually, it's pretty short. But it's like multiple little segments just talking about the IR camera and how it works. It has like this 3D view, not 3D view, like they cut off part of the Joy-Con, so you can actually see what the IR camera looks like. So it's a camera.
It's like a cross-section.
Yeah, so it shows you like there's a camera, and to the left of the Joy-Con there are 2 infrared lasers, and to the right there are also 2 infrared lasers.
So you actually get to learn a little bit about the construction of these tools as well.
Yep.
That's neat, just in like a curiosity about how the actual hardware for the like Switch is built. Not even talking about like the Labo itself, but just like that information is cool without having to obviously take it apart.
Oh yeah, and then every time they do it, they're like, "Don't take your Joy-Con apart. That'll break the warranty." But they're like, so yeah. So I now know that the two infrared beams to the left are for a wide spectrum, and the 2 to the right are for a more narrow focused pinpoint laser.
Oh my gosh. Okay, cool. And so this Discover section is primarily going to be used by probably maybe older kids and adults to, I believe it gives you information about actually how it works, because there will be the opportunity to create your own things or program your own games out of the Labo.
There is the opportunity to create your own things with the Labo using the, I forget what it's actually called. I think it's just the workshop.
Okay.
But it actually, Discover, is broken down in such a way that I think even my niece Taylor, who was 5, would understand, like, oh, this is what the IR camera does and what it's for. It does like little experiments where it says, okay, and now we're going to turn on the IR camera, so if you're looking at the Switch screen, you can now see what the IR camera sees. And it's just like, oh, this is actually kind of like really interesting and really cool. And they're like, yeah, put your IR camera, check it out mode is what it's called, where it just turns on the IR camera. So they're like, put it inside the piano and then turn on check it out mode, so that way you can actually see where you've put these reflective stickers for each key to show, oh yeah, this is what the camera is actually seeing and how it knows this is a B flat instead of just a normal B.
Okay. So now the next question I have that I didn't think about earlier, the Nintendo Labo itself, like that software is something that you do or don't pay for in addition to the cardboard and accessories.
So think of it more of, and actually a part of the news that I've got set up here for later today, I'll go over it now.
Okay.
Nintendo's already got the spare parts for you set up. So you can actually buy the full robot kit for $62 and
or
the
you
full
can
variety
buy
kit
it piecemeal.
Actually, the robot kit, it's only one thing. So you'll actually have to buy all the different little parts to build the full robot, and that's going to come out to around $62.
Okay.
Or if you just say bought the robot kit, then you can buy little parts of the variety kit. The full variety kit turns out to be $43.
Okay.
So I think of it as more of the software is like $20-$30, and then you're paying for this really nice cardstock.
Okay.
And like the amazing part is, if you've got like a nice caliper, and you can just go out and buy your own cardstock and or just recycle whatever you've got. You got a nice caliper, you can build all of this shit.
Right, you could use your own materials for this and then just using like the reflective stickers or whatnot, because that sheet is super cheap. I doubt that you actually would want to like find an alternative for it. I think it looks like it's $1.99 for the replacement for the robot kit and $2.99 for the variety kit. You could theoretically, like Cookie, you could 3D print all of your items if you wanted to, if you got the dimensions down and built them in like a CAD software.
Yep. And
oh my gosh.
That's kind of actually my plan, because with the whatever it was called, the workshop for actually programming your own things, one of the things that they actually go by is you can make your own full band by setting up different Joy-Con to hit different like objects, to be like snares and different types of drums. There's the actual piano that you've already built out, and I am in the middle of programming my own guitar.
So do they have like audio samples that are being used for this then, or is there like how do you get these particular sounds out of it? They have those audio samples in the actual workshop, or you have to import them somehow?
So the audio samples are actually in the workshop. I hope they can let you import your own sounds. Actually, that'd be kind of cool.
That would be crazy. Yeah.
I don't doubt that they will have that in the future. I'm pretty sure that's going to be something that's, if not already implemented, because there are parts of Labo that are still hidden to me.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, this is day 3 of Labo's release.
Yep, and as you build things and as you play with things, more of the back end of Labo gets unlocked for you.
How so?
So, after building the piano and finding out like the piano comes with, you have 4 knobs that you can actually use with this piano. One knob, you put it in, it turns your normal piano sounds into cats. 1, it's an old man. 3, it's like a singing choir. And the 4th one, it actually changes, instead of like a sound being played, it sets your Joy-Con to vibrate at a certain frequency.
Oh.
So then after building the piano, it was like, oh yeah, now you've built the piano. You see how the piano kind of works because you went through the Discover area. Now, hey, we've unlocked the studio. So now you can actually record songs using the built-in studio software. So it's like I like to think of it as like a high-tech looking GarageBand without that many like features, but you can still set like your envelopes, your different octaves. It's like a 4-octave scale that you can actually go through that they've got set up for you.
Right, because there's only enough keys for 1 octave on the keyboard, right?
Correct.
Or on the piano. Oh man, this is so cool. Like the 2 items that I would love to play around with the most are definitely the piano and probably the fishing rod or motorbike. I don't know about between those two, but they both sound really, really fun to play with.
So I haven't played with the fishing rod yet. I was kind of hoping that Neil would be stopping by and we'd be doing a live session today. And then I was going to have him stick around and we were going to build the fishing rod, record the building of it, and then just go ahead and do like a quick little demo playthrough. But with the motorbike, I decided to build it because I was like, okay, this isn't going to be like too intricate, and I don't think it's going to be that interesting. It's actually kind of cool how everything works. There aren't any reflective pieces that are used for their motorbike. It's strictly using the accelerometer and the oh god, what's the thing that checks out rotation? Or would that still be
gyroscope?
accelerometer?
Most
Yeah,
likely.
the gyroscope.
Okay.
So it's got so you're pulling back on the handle to make it go. You've got little things that you've actually attached to the inside of the handle to where it's pushing the right trigger and left trigger and the right bumper of the Joy-Con to like brake, horn, speed boost. You can do wheelies and whatnot.
Oh, cool.
So then after you do that, you learn about this stadium mode to where you actually use the IR sensor in the right Joy-Con. You can set up your own terrain by scanning things with that IR camera to set up terrain, and then you can actually build your own racetrack using like this little gun and this little mini motorbike thing. So like you push the gun to actually go forward, and then using the motorbike separate attachment that you have, it's like looks like a little bicycle, motorcycle that one of your Joy-Cons is just slid into. You use that and you kind of just tilt it around in like the three-dimensional space to make your own entire new racetrack. I'm like, oh, that's pretty nifty.
That is really cool.
I was excited when that got unlocked for me, and I was like, cool, I can play with this. But yesterday was mainly spent just building the motorbike, the house. Actually, the motorbike and the house, and then we did a couple of other like random things of just watching anime. But yeah, they're not super fast builds. They're easy enough to understand that I wouldn't doubt like a small child would be able to just figure this out by themselves. And they also teach you and they'll teach you inside the Labo software, they'll teach you how to repair your cardboard. So one of the repair things I watched was on the RC cars. Since they use vibrations on the ground, it's like, oh, my RC car is not going anymore because like the little tips that the RC car is on is like bent inward slightly, so it's not like vibrating evenly anymore. So they're like, oh yeah. So they're like, oh yeah, you can either reinforce the ends with tape, or you can reinforce it by taking the piece that you have that you pop the RC car out with. You can actually cut the little piece off, make a template, cut out more of our nice cardstock, and then tape that to the ends so that way you've got reinforced things. And I'm like, oh shit, they're teaching the kids how to like build their own Toy-Con / reinforce and repair whatever they break. And then they're also teaching them like, oh yeah, and you can use all these pieces, cut your own cardboard out, and say your cardboard that you use is like really flimsy. They're like, here's how you build bracers to make your cardboard better.
The educational value of this variety kit just seems like really, really a good quality and kind of a reinforcement to why it would be such a great item to purchase for any sort of like family household. And then the creative elements of it like gets me really excited as an adult of kind of the like more intricate and like detailed work you can go towards creating your own, I guess, games, or even just like really customizing your experience and playing around with like those tools and the building elements.
Oh yeah, I've been actually just texting and telling all of my engineer friends that I know who have Switches, or if they even don't, I'm like, hey, you need to at least come over and check this thing out, you've got a Switch, buy the variety kit. Just, you might be a cheapskate, just buy it. It's nice.
I mean, it's less of a gamble than just buying just about any other AAA game outright, at its $60 price point. This is only about 2/3 of that, and it just seems like, although the activities themselves for maybe an adult lose some of their, I don't know, they lose some of their novelty probably pretty quickly for an adult versus a kid. The ability to kind of tweak and really play around with that, I think, would give it a lasting appeal for pretty much all audiences of any age.
I am super excited for the modding community.
Oh yeah,
to get
absolutely.
in touch with
This is going to be a new favorite of the modding community. And I mean, Nintendo doesn't have, like, PC gaming obviously has the largest modding community when it comes to software, but this is really, really cool that the actual like physical construction of things, as well as the
software
elements, can both kind of come together and really create this like very versatile platform for gamers. I'm very excited about this.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be kind of amazing. Like, so just the RC car, using one of the lessons in the workshop, I haven't quite unlocked it yet, but I've seen it, is you can turn the RC car into a tank game, to where you quite literally, you're driving the car around and you're trying to face your IR camera at the other tank, and then you push a button and then it shoots the tank and then it'll disable it. Or even like you can set it up to shoot at specific targets. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, I remember reading that with the RC car, the IR camera is sensitive enough that you could have it like follow an object if you wanted it to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. So I think the last thing then is the house. I know nothing about this because I really didn't look into it. What can you tell me about the house Toy-Con that you built? What functions does it have?
So the house Toy-Con is a Tamagotchi. So with the house Toy-Con, it comes with. Give me one quick second. I need to.
Yeah, no problem. I think I already kind of get the gist of it. Then you build it, and then you play with it, and then you forget about it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and your Tamagotchi dies because you didn't feed it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So when you build the house, you build it with 1, 2, 3 attachments. One attachment is this crank that has a nice little tactile feel to it.
I love that audio. I bet Neil's going to enjoy that too.
It's got reflectors on certain parts, so that way the IR camera, once it's inside the house, can actually know, hey, this is the crank one. There is a key mechanism that actually like springs back because it's using rubber bands. And a push button that also springs back, but it's not using rubber bands. It's strictly using the cardstock. So putting these, and there are 3 holes inside of the house, on the left side, the right side, and the bottom, and putting any 3 of these items inside in any kind of combination will like spur on like a different mini game. So like the push button along with the key gives you this mining game where your Tamagotchi pet looking thing is in a mine cart, and you quite literally you turn the key to turn the minecart on, and it goes forward, and then you pick up the box and you put it down to make your minecart jump to pick up gold, I think, and go and not hit bombs. And the more things you collect, you get more. The more things you collect, you get food for your Tamagotchi, and the food will like customize your Tamagotchi to basically change its color and things of that nature.
Okay.
And then there's this little bonus thing that is like 2 plugs. Now these plugs are very fancy plugs because you use it to connect one house to a second house. So this is when it comes into handy of having like more than one set of Labo variety kits.
So you can corner the Nintendo apartment market.
Pretty much.
The
So I'm
Nintendo
kind of-
neighborhood.
So I'm like really excited because I know my older brother's getting Labo for his family. He's getting both the variety and the robot kit. So that just means, hey, once I see my once I see my niece Taylor, I'll know she'll have it. So that way we can actually connect our houses together. So that way our Tamagotchi will be able to like talk with one another.
Oh, that's
And
cute.
then with the idea of being able to connect the houses together like this, I know with the workshop, you can actually customize, like one of the videos that they keep showing on the workshop is using the fishing rod to control the tank. So
Oh,
at that point,
that's
I know
cool.
that you'll be able to connect the houses together to like control something weird. So this is going to like become an entire thing that says, hey, multiple versions of Labo can talk to one another. So that way you can do different things together with other people as well.
That's really cool.
So I'm thinking that I'm going to end up buying the robot kit and then just buying piecemeal parts of the variety kit, because I think that the same cartridge comes no matter what you get with the Labo. I think. I'm not 100% sure. I have no way of verifying. Oh, I guess I could probably Google that now. But either way,
Yeah.
I'm like super excited for what this thing can actually become, and just like even for me, just buying the variety kit and using the piano seems fun enough. Based on the reviews I've been watching on the Nintendo Labo, a lot of adults are finding the fishing rod to be the most fun game. There are 3 different types of fish you can catch. They say it gets kind of old after you've caught a bunch of the different kinds of fish, but clearly that can just be like a quick add-on slash a little programming tweak to get new fish types. But yeah. Oh, I guess one thing I did forget to mention with the piano kit, it comes with this little punch card to where in the studio mode you can actually
For drum
put the
beat,
punch
right?
card. So you can put the punch card in there, and it represents a hi-hat, closed hat, open hat, a snare, and a kick. So you can do a quick little loop of a drum beat, and you can also do custom waveforms. So it comes with a saw and the curvy pattern for different kinds of sounds that you can have your piano make. But you can also, just cut out your own cardboard to make your own custom waveform. So I'm pretty sure you can get like a noise waveform in there as well.
Curvy pattern. Wait, are you talking about like the on a keyboard like that tweak that you can bend
where
the sound
you can
wave?
where you can edit the sound wave to either be like the triangle looking one or the curvy one or the blocks.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it comes with the saw, which is the one that looks like the triangles, and the wave looking one.
Okay. Man,
But yeah,
Nintendo Labo.
it is kind of not really all that expensive if you think about it past cardboard, because it's so much more than cardboard. Honestly, I think they just had to stick No, they didn't have to stick numbers on what the cardboard costs for them to send it and ship you for like the spares. But honestly, thinking about it from like just a video game standpoint, how much is Labo MSRP? So for the variety kit, $69.99. What are you paying for your other hardware that? What are you paying for your other software that doesn't come with a bunch of shit?
Yeah.
$69.99. For the robot kit, $79.99. What are you paying for the special edition of your digital deluxe version? $79.99. So if you think about it from a software standpoint rather than a hardware standpoint,
You're paying
buying
you're
a
paying
game.
a normal market price for software, and then on top of it, you're getting this physical equipment.
Correct.
That's quality physical equipment too. It sounds like.
Yep, and easily made with like a 3D printer, or easily even made with just cardboard. Like I can just see myself taking a cardboard box and making some of these things, and just making like a thick version of them. All in all, yeah, I think the people who complain about Labo, you're paying $70 and $80 for cardboard, they're dumb and don't think about actual software. And for those who think it's just for children, fuck me. It took me over an hour to build some of these things.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had my skepticisms about it before it came out, and I got to see what people were doing with it and, learn more about the equipment. So I understand how some people can be, maybe skeptical or cynical about it, but I am growing more and more excited the more I learn. I probably will have to pick up Nintendo Labo sometime soon.
And then just thinking about it from the commercial, like the first initial commercial that they showed with Labo, they had a bunch of ideas for accessories.
Yeah,
So like one was
I can
literally
see
a
that this
camera.
platform grows by quite a bit over the next couple years.
And then I was looking at like a fan made video that was made 2 months ago of what they called the Labo telescope. So it was quite literally just a fan made video about a guy. He put the switch inside of this little thing that looked like a telescope, and then he used the Joy-Con controllers to like zoom in and select different planets. And I'm like, oh,
That's awesome.
that's a really cool idea. But yeah, so I'm excited for what the Labo can do and what it's going to end up being.
Cool. Well, I'm going to need Neil. Hey, Neil, to edit in a very short break here for us for a second so I can run to the bathroom really quick.
Sweet.
And then we'll get back and we will tackle news afterward. All right, and we're back. And I don't know about you, Cookie, but it seems like it's been a relatively slow news week. The only thing that I found of interest on my end was the acquisition of Campo Santo, the studio behind the critically acclaimed game Firewatch, has been picked up by Valve. Now,
That's actually good and bad.
yeah, so what I understand about this is that I know Campo Santo has a game coming out soon called In the Valley of the Gods, and if you haven't seen it, it looks to be in the same kind of realm as Firewatch, except I believe a lot of your dialogue and interaction and exploration won't be happening via just radio. You'll also have your companion as you are scouring these Egyptian tombs and pyramids and whatnot, which I guess are one and the same. But it does indicate that Gabe Newell, who had stated somewhat recently that Valve would like to get back into making and shipping games, will be slapping I believe a Valve signature essentially on the Valley of the Gods game when it releases. So, I mean, this could be good. I haven't finished Firewatch, but Firewatch was a pretty entertaining and enjoyable game, and I assume In the Valley of the Gods will probably meet the same quality standards. It's outside of the realm of what I've seen with other Valve games for sure, but it would be nice to have some of their they're both, I guess they're both games that are probably going to be based plenty upon like some pretty linear narration and like interaction and storytelling, and good writers often make those games, or I guess they really make or break those games. In the same way that Portal is a puzzle game, it's also a game that you derive a lot of entertainment or enjoyment from kind of how they build the world and the writing involved. So this could be, I don't know, it could be a good thing. I'm interested in seeing how it plays out here.
Well, I can honestly say that I'm not terrified when I hear that Valve's buying game studios developers.
Versus EA.
Correct, because EA, that's just saying, oh, that person just got paid a lot of money for their studio to die.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of projects Valve's been involved with in the recent future, and I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, really. So them really, getting back into game making could be a nice sign for the gaming industry. I mean, they certainly don't have to. Steam is an excellent way for the company to make money, but
yeah, considering Dota 2 was the last game they actually made.
Oh man, yeah.
And that was in 2013, and before that, it was Counter-Strike Global Offensive. So Counter-Strike Go.
Well, yeah, they'll probably build it. I mean, that's one of those things. I actually somewhat expect them to keep up on building games like Counter-Strike, because it's, I mean, like, that's a very easy game to craft and update, right? It's not necessarily victim to the same amount of hype as, say, Half-Life 2, or if people are looking for a Left 4 Dead 3 game, or I'm sorry, Half-Life 3, obviously. Half-Life 2 is completed.
Yeah.
Or a Portal 3. Actually, I forgot that isn't it a trope for Valve that they can't make it to a third game in anything that they make?
Looking at these games that they've made, yeah. This is considering Team Fortress 2.
Oh, that's true. They can't get past 2.
Wait, Quake 3.
Oh, there you go. When did Quake 3 release? That's like early
1999.
2000s. Oh, okay. Very early 2000s, before the turn of the century even.
I think the newest Wolfenstein's a part 3, technically. Is it?
Oh, were they involved with the most recent Wolfenstein, though?
Oh, shit. Nope, never mind, because
That was
would have
Bethesda.
shown up on this list. That would have shown up on this list.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It was interesting news to take note of. The other thing that I've been seeing around in the gaming news is pretty high scores for God of War, the reboot, or it's not even a reboot really, the continuation. But I believe it's another. It's now not based on Greek mythology, but instead has some more Norse roots. And
because Norse is where it's at right now with the whole, oh gosh, what's his name? Thor?
Oh, yeah. Thor from Marvel?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. I'm interested in it. I rented God of War 2 when I was younger, and played that game start to finish over like a week's time. But I actually haven't played the first one, never played the third one, and really don't have a huge concept of what the storyline of the games are, besides the fact that Kratos was very angry and ready to like cause some gratuitous violence to the gods and other Greek mythological figures. It seems like it's changed from that narrative to be a little bit more tempered, a little bit more, I guess actually that Kratos has a little bit more character to him than just being like a conduit of like rage and violence.
Pretty much.
The problem is I'm obviously falling for the pitfall that is any game described as being Dark Souls-like or Dark Souls-esque. I've read that it has some, RPG-light elements to it, and that it is a little bit more tactical combat than previous games. But I mean, the previous God of Wars were all beat 'em ups, more or less, right?
Yeah, so I've can honestly say I played and beat the first one, loved it. The second one, me and my brother both never got to finish because during the owning of that game, we bought it. Oh, wow, I got a 10 from IGN. We bought it. We got about partway through, a couple hours in, and then the game crashed, so the actual disc was broken. So we got a new disc, and then we went through another PlayStation 2 because then I think either our PlayStation 2 went out or that second game was broken as well. So we went through 2 copies of God of War 2 and 2 PlayStation 2s to attempt to play this damn game.
And at that point, it's a sign that you should just give up on it.
Yep, I told one of my friends in college that I was like, yeah, that's kind of what happened. And he was like, oh man, you got to play God of War 3 then. So I started playing God of War 3 on his PlayStation 3, and it was wonderful. I got to tear the guy's eyeballs out at the beginning of God of War 3, and I was like, sweet, this is going to work. And then Athena just like, she came into screen, and then everything tore, like game-breaking tears everywhere. And then his PlayStation 3 kind of did a little wheezing sound and then shut down.
That's rough.
So I'm not even going to attempt this new one. But it got a 10 on IGN, so, you know, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, no, I'm looking around, and Polygon gave it 10 out of 10, and Kotaku
Its Metascore
seems
is
to have
95.
given it a pretty positive review. What was its Metacritic score?
95.
Yeah, like it's racking up some acclaim here. So I'm interested. I'm just worried that I'm going to buy it expecting it to be something that it's not, knowing full well that beat 'em ups, like, really, like, that's just really not my thing. But yeah, here's a good description I see. It's a little bit Witcher, a little bit Dark Souls, a little bit of Last of Us, and a little bit old school God of War. Those are all good games, and they're all fairly competent combat mechanics. I'll hold my tongue on The Witcher for that, but it's got me curious. I've got to balance that between Labo and other things right now. So maybe we'll throw in a review for that sometime soon if I do pick it up.
Indeed, indeed. Oh, I do have a question for you then at that point, actually.
Yeah, go for it.
How is No Kuni II treating you?
Fucking great. That game is so good. So I have obviously made some comments before that it is very much in the vein of that, like, Studio Ghibli, you know, like Miyazaki style narrative, where it's kind of like it's good versus evil, and it's somewhat a little cheesy or saccharine at times, and so it's sometimes a little predictable. But I'm getting to a point where if your main goal, like, if I didn't know that this was obviously a video game and a level 5 game at that, my personal experience is not that large with them, but from others I've talked to, are known for making notoriously long games. If I knew that completing my task would just be like visiting the 5 kingdoms that I need to and getting them to sign this declaration of interdependence, and then it would be game over, happy ending, then I'd be close to that point now. But knowing that it is a game with a little bit more longevity than that, there has been some really interesting developments in the story and the plot, like some really exciting twists that make me like almost refresh. I never got tired of the game, that like refresh my determination to really put a bunch of time into this game. Though the other thing that I've been enjoying too is right before the game started to feel formulaic in how you're interacting with each kingdom, I was worried that it was going to be meet their corrupt leader, expose their corrupt leader for being a shitty corrupt leader, and then fight their King's Bond, or King's Guard. I don't know actually what they call them, but Kingmaker, that's what it is. You fight their Kingmaker, which is essentially their like big WMD of magical proportions. They've mixed it up a bit for the city of Broadleaf and comparing it to Gold Paw, and then I can't actually remember the name of the other one. I think it's Hydropolis. Each task is a little different for each area to a big enough extent that it's really pretty entertaining and diverse. So in Gold Paw, I have to like essentially do some scouting around to root out a conspiracy. And then in the second game, I have to, or not the second game, but in the second task with Hydropolis, I have to essentially gather the attention of the royalty and then complete a task for them, which has me using like the mini or the chibi like battlefield system. And then for this third one with Broadleaf, it was more like a puzzle dungeon run to the top of the city. So each chapter has been very interesting and just different enough that I'm like blown away by this game at every corner. I'm really enjoying it a lot.
Nice.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it, to finally finishing it, and I don't know when that will be, but hopefully soon.
I'm glad we sucked this in on the news section.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't know. Neil is by far the most on the pulse with the news out of the three of us, and I'd hate to take away his last remaining job on the podcast. Besides,
I don't know. Someone's got
all
to
the critical editing and distribution. But that's easy peasy, because we don't edit here at Fancy Ramen. But yeah, that's about all I've got. I mean, I don't know if I really need to say any more. I will probably do a summation of the game once I get to the very end of it. But past that, and not having any more news to talk about that's of interest to me, unless you have anything else to add, I say we roll the credits.
I'm fine with that. Basically, all I wanted to say was that, yeah, Labo knows that you want little pieces and to replace parts, they're making them available.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed this Neil-free episode of Fancy Ramen, please feel free to write us in at Fancy Ramen, at podcast@fancyramen.com. You can also leave us a like or a review on Apple Podcasts. And please don't forget to tell a friend about our podcast and help us grow our audience. The best way to do it is by word of mouth, and there's nothing better than a recommendation from a friend.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, Cookie, this has been a pleasure recording episode 33 plus 30, episode 63 with you.
Good cover.
I've been Scott, and I can do math.
And I've been Cookie, and I can fold cardboard.
We'll see you next time, guys.